And great to be here. Yeah, we launched an expansion of our partnership with a set of new players, including Stellar and CoinPH and Mercado Bitcoin.
Something big is happening with Stellar, XLM, and it's not just another crypto rumor or hype cycle. This time, the energy feels different. You can almost sense it in the tone of the conversations happening across the crypto space. The silence before the noise, the calm before awareness, the kind of quiet that usually comes right before something massive shifts. For years, Stellar has been the underrated giant of real-world blockchain adoption, moving quietly while others screamed for attention. But now that quiet phase seems to be ending. There's movement, there's momentum, and there's an unmistakable signal forming beneath the surface that Stellar is about to have one of its most bullish phases in history. Why the market is starting to wake up to Stellar. Here's the truth. 2025 isn't shaping up to be just another year in crypto. It's the year where utility finally meets recognition. Investors are starting to look beyond speculation, asking what projects actually solve real problems. And that's where Stellar shines. Because while everyone else was focused on hype tokens and volatile narratives, Stellar has been quietly building a fully functional financial network. One that connects real people, real banks, and real payment corridors across the world. It's not a project that promises the future. It's already living it. Every transaction processed on the Stellar network is part of that quiet revolution. What makes Stellar different is how it approaches global finance. It doesn't try to reinvent money, it simply makes it move better. Stellar was designed to be a bridge between currencies, between banks, between people. And that mission hasn't changed. Whether it's small remittances from workers sending money back home, or large-scale financial institutions exploring blockchain-based settlements, Stellar has positioned itself as the glue holding the old world and the new world together. That's not speculation, that's execution. And the more the traditional world leans into blockchain integration, the more Stellar's infrastructure becomes essential. Because at its core, Stellar isn't just a token. It's a payment network designed for global interoperability. MoneyGram, CBDCs, and the rise of on-chain payments. Let's talk about partnerships, because this is where things start to get interesting. Stellar's partnership with MoneyGram isn't just another marketing headline. It's a full-scale bridge between blockchain and one of the largest remittance providers in the world. This partnership allows users to convert cash into USDC stablecoins directly through the Stellar network and back again, creating a real, practical gateway between fiat and crypto. That's not just adoption, that's mainstream onboarding. And it doesn't stop there. Stellar's development arm, the Stellar Development Foundation, SDF, has been actively involved in CBDC pilot programs, including discussions with multiple governments and financial institutions. One of the most talked about collaborations is with Ukraine, where Stellar has been part of exploratory efforts for their digital currency infrastructure. This isn't theoretical anymore. It's happening in real time. Governments are testing Stellar's tech for potential national-scale digital assets. Now, for long-term holders, this phase feels different. Because for the first time, we're seeing the world catching up to what Stellar has been building for nearly a decade. When the Stellar network launched, the idea of fast, borderless money transfers felt like science fiction. Now, it's a global necessity. With inflation, currency instability, and financial exclusion affecting millions, Stellar's original mission, financial access for everyone, is more relevant than ever. And the data backs it up. Stellar's network activity has been growing consistently. More anchors, that's the term for on-off-ramps like banks and payment companies, are joining the ecosystem, expanding liquidity and accessibility. Each new connection strengthens Stellar's position as a global settlement layer. But here's the part that gets overlooked. This adoption is happening organically. Stellar isn't chasing pump cycles or influencer campaigns. It's growing through use cases, real, measurable ones. That's what makes the current bullish setup so powerful. It's not built on hype. It's built on progress. Every major breakout in crypto follows the same pattern. Doubt, silence, accumulation, then explosion. Right now, Stellar is in that accumulation stage. The noise around it is minimal, but the fundamentals are stronger than ever. The partnerships, the integrations, the developer activity, it's all aligning beneath the surface. The same thing happened with XRP before it started its major recovery. The same thing happened with HBAR before its enterprise adoption wave. And now, Stellar is standing right on that threshold. Once the broader market starts to focus on utility-led assets, and we're seeing early signs of that shift already, XLM could move faster than people expect. Because in markets, perception always lags reality. The reality of Stellar's growth is already here. The perception just hasn't caught up yet. This is what separates Stellar from the rest. While other projects focus on speculation, Stellar has quietly become a core component of financial digitization, from CBDCs to cross-border remittances to asset tokenization. In a world where instant, transparent, and low-cost transactions are no longer optional but essential, Stellar's infrastructure will only grow in relevance. And that's why this setup feels different. The fundamentals are mature. The network is live. The partners are established. And the next cycle will finally bring attention to the ones that have been quietly building utility all along. So when you hear that Stellar is extremely bullish, don't think hype. Think maturity. Think of a network that's been tested, trusted, and now finally recognized. This isn't the start of Stellar's story. It's the moment the world starts paying attention. If you've been in crypto long enough, you know there's a big difference between talking about adoption and actually building adoption. And that's where Stellar absolutely crushes most of the competition. While others are out here pushing narratives and price predictions, Stellar has been busy doing something far more powerful, building real-world payment rails that people actually use. This is what makes the 2025 setup for Stellar so historic. Because for the first time, the global financial system is starting to mirror the kind of infrastructure Stellar has been quietly perfecting for years. Let's break this down. The global remittance revolution, Stellar's sweet spot. Right now, the world's remittance industry is worth over $860 billion. Millions of people send money home across borders every single day, and they lose billions to hidden fees, conversion rates, and slow transfers. If you've ever had to send money from, say, the US to Nigeria, the Philippines, or India, you know it's a frustrating process. It's slow, it's expensive, and it's outdated. That's where Stellar comes in. Stellar's network is specifically designed for cross-border money movement, allowing anyone, anywhere to send digital value in seconds, not days. The transaction fees are often less than a cent, and the network can handle thousands of transactions per second without breaking a sweat. But here's where it gets exciting. This isn't just crypto to crypto. Stellar has fiat on and off ramps integrated across multiple countries. That means users can deposit or withdraw local currency through trusted anchors, like payment processors and banks, and send funds instantly across the world in digital form. This is how you bring blockchain to everyday people. Not through speculation, but through usability. MoneyGram plus Stellar equals the future of on-chain cash movement. Let's talk about one of the biggest catalysts, MoneyGram. In 2023, MoneyGram and the Stellar Development Foundation, SDF, officially launched a service that allows users to cash in and cash out of USDC stablecoins across more than 180 countries. Think about what that means. A user in Mexico can walk into a local MoneyGram location, deposit pesos, and instantly receive USDC on the Stellar blockchain. That same user can send it to a family member in Kenya, who can then walk into another MoneyGram outlet and withdraw it in Kenyan shillings. No banks, no middlemen, no delays. That's the power of Stellar. That's real adoption, not hype. And remember, MoneyGram isn't a small partner. It's one of the largest remittance companies on the planet, processing billions of dollars annually. When a company that size chooses your blockchain to move money, it's not random, it's validation. This partnership has quietly built the foundation for one of the most accessible fiat-to-crypto networks in existence. And as stablecoins continue to explode in use globally, Stellar sits right in the middle of that new digital economy. Now let's add another layer, USDC, the second largest stablecoin in the world, created by Circle. Most people know that USDC runs on Ethereum, but not everyone realizes that Stellar is one of USDC's primary networks. In fact, Circle chose Stellar because of its low fees, instant settlement, and ease of integration with real-world money systems. Here's the thing, stablecoins are becoming the backbone of modern payments. Visa, PayPal, and even Stripe have started exploring or integrating them into their ecosystems. So when USDC grows, Stellar grows. Every new integration that expands stablecoin use ultimately expands Stellar's liquidity and network volume. And as more people use USDC for cross-border transfers, Stellar's efficiency makes it the perfect vehicle for global settlements. Fast, stable, and compliant. Let's zoom out a little. Across the world, central banks are racing to launch central bank digital currencies, CBDCs. The goal is to modernize their payment systems, reduce costs, and improve financial inclusion. And guess who's been at the table with them? Stellar. The Stellar Development Foundation has already been part of CBDC research and pilot projects, including a high-profile collaboration with Ukraine's Ministry of Digital Transformation. While that project is still in exploration, it shows that governments recognize Stellar's technology as a serious option for national-level financial systems. In fact, Stellar's open-source architecture and regulatory-friendly approach make it one of the few blockchains that can bridge public blockchain technology with regulated financial infrastructure. We're not talking about hypothetical adoption anymore, we're talking about government-scale validation. And that's a big deal for investors, because every time a government or institution tests Stellar for financial operations, it increases confidence in the network's reliability, scalability, and security. Beyond payments and CBDCs, Stellar is also becoming a key player in asset tokenization, the process of representing real-world assets like bonds, real estate, or commodities on blockchain. Why does this matter? Because global financial markets are moving toward on-chain settlement. Big players like BlackRock, JP Morgan, and HSBC are already experimenting with tokenized assets. And Stellar offers the perfect infrastructure for this shift. Its built-in token issuance framework allows anyone to create and manage assets on-chain with ease, and with far lower costs than Ethereum-based alternatives. Several fintech companies are already using Stellar to issue digital assets and manage cross-border liquidity. One example is Tempo, a European payment provider that uses Stellar for international remittances and settlements. Each new company that integrates Stellar adds more depth to its ecosystem, more liquidity, more anchors, and more user access. This kind of organic network growth is exactly what makes a blockchain truly sustainable. Let's pause for a second, because this isn't just about technology or market charts. At its heart, Stellar's mission has always been financial inclusion, giving access to people who've been left behind by the traditional banking system. Billions of people worldwide still don't have a bank account, but most of them have smartphones. That's where Stellar steps in, providing access to global payments with just a few taps. When someone in a rural area can receive remittances instantly, pay digitally, or store value safely without a bank, that's transformation. That's what blockchain was meant to do. And the fact that Stellar is enabling that right now across multiple continents is something no meme coin or speculative project can replicate. This is real-world change. What's so fascinating about Stellar is how different its approach is compared to most crypto projects. There's no loud marketing, no fake hype, no price manipulation games. Just consistent building, steady adoption, and quiet expansion. Every few months, you'll find Stellar announcing new partnerships with fintech startups, money transfer firms, or even development agencies. But instead of hyping it up, they just deliver. And because of that consistency, Stellar has built trust, not just with retail investors, but with banks, governments, and institutions. That's why when the market cycle shifts and investors start looking for fundamentals, Stellar is going to stand out, because the foundation is already there. So, let's be clear, what's happening right now in the Stellar ecosystem is the setup phase. The infrastructure is built. The partnerships are solid. The network is active. But the market still hasn't fully priced any of that in. This is exactly how major breakouts happen. When fundamentals are screaming ready, but sentiment is still quiet. When utility is expanding, but the crowd is still distracted by the next meme coin. And that's why people who understand this, people who see what Stellar is building, are positioning themselves early. Because when the narrative finally flips, when investors start recognizing Stellar as the payment layer of the new financial era, the momentum could be explosive. Alright, so let's get into the part that every XLM holder actually wants to hear. What's driving the bullish setup right now? You see, while most people in the market are still chasing hype coins, Stellar's fundamentals are quietly forming one of the strongest technical structures in the entire altcoin space. And if you've been watching closely, the signs are all over the place. This isn't just another cycle bounce. This looks like the early stage of something historic. Imagine what happens when USDC, MoneyGram, Circle, and other partners all deepen their integration and start routing higher transaction volumes through Stellar. That's a surge in network velocity, the rate at which money moves, and historically, that kind of acceleration often precedes price breakouts. In other words, Stellar isn't just being used, it's being scaled. And markets eventually catch up to that kind of growth. The next factor is institutional awareness. For a long time, Stellar has been overlooked because it doesn't make noise like other projects. But that's changing fast. In 2025, we started seeing institutional-grade digital asset funds begin listing Stellar XLM in their portfolios again. They're not betting on hype, they're betting on payment infrastructure that works. One of the strongest signals came when several cross-border fintech firms built on Stellar started receiving regulatory licenses and global banking partnerships. That means Stellar is not operating in the shadows anymore. It's moving right into the core of the regulated financial world. And here's why that's important. When institutions want blockchain rails that don't break compliance, Stellar becomes the safe pick. It's like the difference between a flashy startup and a reliable utility provider. Institutions prefer the latter, the one that just works. Let's talk charts for a second, but in simple terms. XLM's price structure on the macro time frame has been consolidating for months inside a large accumulation zone. This is the kind of pattern that's often seen right before a major cycle expansion. When you see low volatility, rising on-chain volume, and consistent wallet growth, that's not a sign of weakness, it's pressure building beneath the surface. Think of it like a spring. The more it gets compressed, the more energy it releases when it breaks out. Historically, every time XLM entered this kind of accumulation zone, the breakout that followed was massive, sometimes 5x, 10x, or even more. And right now, we're seeing the same setup again, but this time with real adoption behind it. That combination of fundamentals plus technicals is what fuels historic runs. Here's another thing most people don't realize: the global payments narrative in crypto is changing. For years, the focus was on DeFi, NFTs, and speculative trading. But as regulators and institutions move in, the narrative is shifting back to real utility, who can actually move money, issue assets, and power global settlement systems. And in that world, there are only a few contenders: XRP, XLM, and HBAR. But Stellar has one unique advantage. It's built for open access. Anyone can build on it, issue tokens, or move value instantly. It's both public and compliant, which is exactly what the new financial world needs. So when you combine that with the expanding MoneyGram integration, growing USDC volume, and new institutional awareness, you're looking at a setup that could redefine Stellar's market position entirely. There's also a psychological shift happening within the community. Long-term XLM holders, the ones who've weathered multiple bear markets, aren't shaken anymore. They've seen this pattern before. The quiet accumulation, the doubt, the slow build-up, and then the breakout everyone said would never come. This time, though, they have something new: validation. Stellar isn't just a hope coin. It's powering real money movement, real partnerships, and real growth. So even when short-term traders panic, those who've done their research are holding tighter than ever. Because they know, when the crowd finally wakes up to Stellar's global reach, it'll already be too late to buy cheap. All the signs: liquidity expansion, institutional recognition, on-chain growth, and a tightening technical structure, point to one thing: Stellar is gearing up for something big. And when that moment comes, the people who saw it early won't be the ones asking, "Why is XLM pumping?" They'll be the ones already in position. It's funny how markets work. When prices are quiet, people think nothing's happening. But in reality, that's when the most important things are being built. That's exactly what's happening with Stellar right now. Under the surface, partnerships are forming, real-world integrations are expanding, and liquidity is flowing into the network like never before. Yet most of the world still isn't paying attention. But if you zoom out, you'll notice something powerful. Everything Stellar has been building for the past few years is finally aligning. The infrastructure is mature. The partnerships are live. And global institutions are slowly waking up to the idea that Stellar might actually be the backbone of the next-generation financial system. Think about it. When the average person hears crypto, they think speculation. But when a government, a fintech company, or a remittance provider hears Stellar, they think efficiency, transparency, and access. That's a massive shift. And it's only just beginning. Because when you strip away all the noise, the price predictions, the memes, and the hype, what's left is the actual mission. To make money movement borderless and fair for everyone. And the truth is, Stellar has been executing on that mission consistently. No drama, no shortcuts, just progress. Now, here's the part people forget. The biggest moves in crypto don't start with hype. They start with silence. They start when nobody's looking, nobody's talking, and nobody's expecting it. And right now, Stellar feels exactly like that moment. It's the quiet before the narrative shifts. The build-up before the mainstream headlines. The phase where real investors are accumulating quietly, preparing for the next wave. Because once the dominoes fall, once the MoneyGram volume surges, once USDC flow increases, and once institutions begin routing real money through Stellar, the revaluation could be massive. We're talking about a project that's solving real problems for millions of people. And in crypto, that's rare. So, if you're watching this right now, consider this your reminder. Don't let the silence fool you. This is not the time to ignore Stellar. This is the time to understand it. Because once the breakout begins, the crowd will rush in, the FOMO will take over, and the same people who laughed at Stellar will be asking, why didn't I see it coming? If you believe Stellar is building the foundation for the next phase of the global financial revolution, tap that like button to push this video to more XLM holders. Comment below, I'm holding XLM for the long game. And don't forget to subscribe for more updates on Stellar, XRP, and HBAR, because the next few months could be the most exciting chapter we've ever seen in blockchain history.